Now, we've added on an additional benefit called the Legal Shield. The Legal Shield gives you access to a lawyer 24 hours a day in emergency situations. Let's say you're being questioned, detained, or arrested. Let's say the authorities come to remove your children, or perhaps you've been in a horrible car accident. Of course, you want to make sure everybody's okay, but you also want to call your prepaid legal lawyer, and you have access to that 24 hours a day. Look, I had a quick story where I had to use the services, and I was coming home from a studio putting a DVD project together. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm pulled over by this officer. And I'm not talking about officers. I have buddies that are officers. It's that less than 1% that make a lot look bad in any industry. So I'm pulled over, and he comes up to my window, and he says, license and registration. I said, sure. May I ask why I'm being pulled over? He said, no, you may not. And so I'm getting out my license and registration. He says, this automobile belonged to you. And I said, yes, sir. So I'm getting out my license and my registration rather out of my glove compartment. And he says, so when I look at that registration, it's going to say your name on it. And I said, yes, sir. And so I get it out. And he says, what do your vanity plates mean, your personalized tags? Because I used to own a car a while ago that said prepaid on the license plate. He said, did you prepay for this vehicle? And by now you probably already know I like the joke and I wanted to say, yeah, cash, but I didn't say that. I said, no, it stands for prepaid legal services. And he says, oh, you're a lawyer? I said, no, sir, I just have access to lawyers all across North America. And I know that sounds good, but it didn't work. He said, you ever been arrested before? I said, no, sir. He said, I need you to step out the vehicle at this time. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. And so I give him my Legal Shield card. And the Legal Shield card said to any security personnel or law enforcement officer, if it's your intention to question, detain, or arrest me, please allow me to call my attorney immediately, which is your right. So our Miranda right's been in place for a long time. But what good is having the right if you can't afford access to it? So he says, what's this? I said, I'm supposed to give it to you at this time. That's all I said. And so I just handed it to him. He walked back to the cruiser. I can't tell you honestly whether he'd read it or not, but he came back a couple of minutes later. He gave me back my information. He said, Mr. Self, have a nice night, sir. And that's the power of having access to a lawyer. Look, I have a teenage driver now. I can't imagine him being out without having access to this Legal Shield card. Now, our service is not set up for bad people to do worse things, but bad things happen to good people too. So be sure to check out your brochure or your membership kit to get any detailed limitations. Now, let's say that you are with my lawyers today, and I came to you and I said, I want you to add up all these things, not at an hourly rate, but let's work out a monthly fee. How much would this be every single month for you to do all these things I just mentioned? You know, lawyers tell me all types of things, thousands or perhaps hundreds of dollars, or maybe more than that if I want their entire law firm. But Prepaid Legal understood the average person could never pay hundreds or thousands of dollars a month. And so we've made it less than $1 a day, $26 a month. I call it a bottled water, a Coke and a smile, and you have access to these services. That's why we're growing so fast, because we have an underserved, an underpenetrated market where everyone needs what we have, but most people don't have it yet. And we have another great service called the Identity Theft Shield. We've connected with a company called Kroll, the leading risk management company in the world. They were called in by Enron for restructuring. They were called in by the Kuwaiti government to seek out Saddam Hussein's financial network. And so they're number one at what they do. And they help us to safeguard individuals from the number one fastest growing crime in America, identity theft. Now, the scary part about identity theft is that most of us don't know when we've been victimized. You could be 9 years old and won't know you've been a victim of identity theft until you're 19 years old. So it's a very scary crime. Now, you want to make sure that you have access to something like this because it's just not financial. Some people think, oh, I have that on my bank card. And that's great, but what about Social Security fraud? Social Security fraud, I did a presentation at the Pentagon. There was a captain who lost his security clearance because his brother-in-law got a job in the captain's name to avoid child support. So again, that's happening. Motor vehicle fraud. Look, there was a computer stolen out of the motor vehicle department, 8,000 to 9,000 identities in that one computer. So now we're being pulled over for a routine traffic violation as a law-abiding citizen, but there's a bench warrant out for our arrest for something we didn't even do. What about medical fraud? That's scary. Someone else used your medical insurance or information, and now you go to the hospital, but you're being infused with the wrong blood. And then there's criminal identity theft. Here's when bad people do bad things in your good name. And sometimes we don't know about it for a while. But with Kroll, one, we give you access to your credit report so you can see what's on there. And there was something on my credit report for $2,000 that wasn't even me. And I'm thinking, how long would that have gone on without me knowing about it? Most folks don't even check their credit report until they go to buy something or refinance. And they also do monitoring, regular monitoring. So if something pops up in your database, they'll let you know. And this is important, okay? Because you don't want to go years without knowing about this. But most importantly, we do restoration. This is the reason why some companies now offer this as a part of benefits package to their employees, because employers are tired of employees taking time off, handling situations which they're not proficient in, but with the limited power of attorney, their private investigators can go in as you or with you to restore your identity for you for just an additional $9.95 a month. And of course, restoration won't apply if it's a result of a dishonest or fraudulent act that you, your spouse, or your children participated in, and the services can't be provided if you knew about the stolen identity prior to your enrollment date. And this also doesn't apply for any business activity. Now, with both of these services combined, now you have the $26 legal plan and the identity theft shield for only $9.95, makes it $35.95 a month bundled, still a bottle order a day, and you have access to these services. Again, is your family worth $1 a day? I would say yes. Now, you may be thinking what I thought when I first took a look at prepaid legal services. I'm thinking to myself, how in the world can they do this for only $1 a day? Well, it's not your dollar or my dollar, but all the dollars added up. We have over 1.5 million happy families right now that own a membership. And so we can attract the best law firms that money can buy across North America. And look, as a happy member, you're gonna feel obligated to tell other people about it. So I want you to use it. I want you to get back with the person who invited you to watch this video. And I want you to use the service. This way you don't have to say, I think, someone told me, or I heard. You can say, I know, through your own personal experience. And once you do that, again, you're gonna wanna tell people. For free, I would tell people, as a good friend, a good neighbor, a good family member. But guess what? You don't have to do it for free. We're gonna pay you to spread the word. And I can't think of anyone better to share with you how to benefit from this financially than the gentleman I'm going to introduce you to. He's a gentleman that personally is responsible for introducing me to prepaid legal services. If it wasn't for him, perhaps I'd still be working at the mall right now. Perhaps my grandmother wouldn't be retired right now. Perhaps I'd be missing field trips right now. But because of this gentleman, I've been a stay-at-home dad for over a decade now. And so you have an opportunity to be mentored by him just like I was. Please help me welcome Mr. Brian Carruthers.